This match day 35 picks edition of the Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Naira Bets. Bet the Kentucky Derby using the code SGPN25 for a $25 free bet plus a $200 deposit match bonus at nairabets.com/SGPN25 and start winning today. Welcome, everybody, to the Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Today is May the 1st, isn't it? Thursday, May the 1st. We are here to have a look around in midweek of Europa League, Champions League and Premier League action that finished around about 90 seconds ago, before we get stuck into a full slate of Premier League action from Friday through to Monday. Joining me on the left-hand side is Mr. Barry Penaluna. Baz, what's happening?
Well, this is all new, isn't it? We are using new software to stream this episode out. So it could be an absolute shambles. Hopefully people can hear us. Hopefully people can see us. You've already messed it up because you've done the music and then your intro, where ordinarily you do your intro and then the music. So you've already
music. I did music then intro. I didn't want to just startle people by just appearing. Do you know what I mean? That might affect people's sensibilities. I'll be honest, Baz, if that's the worst thing that happens in the next hour, I'll take it, because this has got absolute disaster written all over it.
We've got options.
I'm going to guess that I'm going to hope that Sean and Ryan don't listen to the first few minutes of this show, because, Barry, we've had roughly a month to sort this out, haven't we? We all knew the end of April, the old system was going away, the new system was coming in. There's been loads of messages, there's been training courses, there's been documents, and we started to try and suss it out at about 4:30 this afternoon. I then went out at 5 o'clock, so I've only just come in. And I'm not very good at this sort of thing, Barry, even if I'd spent the entire month training. So, we are the wrong way around. We haven't got any of the graphics. I'm not really sure. I can see the chat. Yeah, we might be all right, Buzz.
We've got a
but also, my microphone wasn't working, so I might just be talking to myself as well. It might just be me and you, Baz, but the other people seem to be. So if it does go tits up, if you spot something in the chat, don't wind me up. I don't want any false things here. Tell us what's going wrong if it goes wrong. But you're a technical man, Barry. You can handle this.
People have got options. They can have us this big, but my head looks massive.
Like that.
Nobody needs that. That's my head massive.
You'd have to. Well, we could be that big, but you'd have to move back about 20 yards.
We can have it so I'm just here, and you are just a little sideshow in the corner. That's probably all right, actually. That's about how important you are. So for anyone
listening, women folk would stand for that, Barry.
For anyone listening on podcast, we've got Malcolm as a little postage stamp in the corner. So yeah, we've got options on there. Yeah, we can have him just sitting over there. Either way, I'm dominant is where I should be. But yeah, I think we'll settle for this for now, and we'll see how we go.
This is absolute gold for all the people who are just downloading and listening as a podcast. But yeah, we'll see how we go, Barry. So far, so good. I haven't got the 1-1 draw of the week thing either, and I have got one this week as well. So we'll just have to sing it, Acapulco or whatever. Midweek games, Baz. We've got quite a lot to get to actually. So we'll go through the game sort of night by night. It started off all right, but fucking hell, I've been furious at part. I felt physically sick at about 8:30 this evening, to the point I considered cancelling the show. But we'll get to that in a minute. Champions League will start with, Baz. The picks. Oh, so there was 5 games this week. I've gone 2 and 3. The Bodo Glimt goal got me out of a hole there at the end. Otherwise, it was 1 and 4. But Arsenal 0, PSG 1. Losing pick took the over 2.5 goals. That was just a bit of a weird one. Like, if Arsenal don't score a set piece, Arsenal don't score again. Goal after 4 minutes, and I thought the over 2.5 was looking really lively. I still don't know where I stand. The Arsenal fans seem a little bit confident going in. but PSG surely will score a goal or two. I mean, that's we did back them on the strength of 4 consecutive games against Premier League opposition. You saw what Villa done to them. Villa absolutely rattled PSG, and Arsenal never really laid a glove on them. So I didn't know quite what to make of that. And then last night's Champions League game was one of the best games of football I've watched in ages. It was really nice to sit and watch it with Bob. Because it's easy to sit and be dead cynical, like I have been tonight. There's probably been lots of good football played tonight across the 3 games, but I've hated every minute of it. Last night, I just loved every minute of that. From a 35-second back heel goal, then to an overhead kick, to a couple more worldies, to one that hit the keeper on the back of their head and gone in. For that to finish 3-3, and then watch that 17-year-old kid take the piss. There's no way you can be churlish about him at all. Like, I've seen people say, no, he's not as good as Messi. You just watch and admire. So, yeah, that was just an incredible game. And we got that pick right. Both teams to score over 2.5. You took, what did you take, Baz?
Barcelona handicap.
Oh, shit. Oh, you fucked
Yeah.
that. But we had said that Milan's game scripts have flipped from low scoring games to goals on both sides. So the 3 didn't fit in with that one. So there were winning picks in there. Champions League review from you, Barry?
Yeah, so I did say I didn't mind your pick of the overs, but then went somewhere different on that one. And the Arsenal game, I had the PSG team total and had more than enough chances to get that second goal. Barcola should have scored in the second half for certain. But I thought, I mean, you've mentioned most of the Arsenal game. I thought the irony of Declan Rice in the huddle beforehand saying something along the lines of, if we don't have the ball, we die. And then Arsenal just deciding to let PSG have the ball for the first 10 minutes of the game until they scored was a little bit of a novel approach, I thought. I think 1-0 for Arsenal will, you're going to sit there and spin it positively. You're in the game, which is the bonus. I thought they were fortunate to come away 1-0. And I spoke to somebody else last night who thought Arsenal were unlucky not to have got a draw. I suppose Donnarumma's made a couple of good saves, but I thought PSG were comfortably the better side on the night. But the game's still live, still there. I was looking like having an absolute stinker on the European stuff altogether, because I was looking like blanking tonight as well. But like you, the Bodo goal, landing the both teams to score, was a bonus for me. I never watched any of tonight, and I'm glad I didn't, because I wouldn't have enjoyed any minute of it. I watched the Forest game instead, and that was a good result for Newcastle. So I picked the right game, and also picked a winner in that game as well. I had the under 2.5 in the Forest Brentford game. So yeah, in the end, 2 winners from 5. Not brilliant, but as you say, a decent week of football, or certainly Champions League was decent.
Yeah, the little crumb of comfort from tonight's results is that Forest got beat, which is a shame because ordinarily, if I could choose somebody to get beat, it wouldn't be Forest out of that top 6. I'd like Chelsea or Manchester City or Villa to continue getting beat. I'd rather Forest got in, but if it helps Newcastle out, the Forest defeat helps. And then the Europa League was just abysmal. Again, one saving grace was that it happened so quickly that I'm kind of over it by now. If you'd asked me at 8:30, I actually did feel sick. I nearly went, I thought I'm going to puke up here. But I'm over it now because it was 90, it was 100 minutes ago. So I've almost had time to mourn it. I mean, Atletico were very lively for Athletic Club, sorry, not Atletico, get it right. Were very lively for 20 minutes, made a couple of good chances, and Arna made a save. Lindelof fortunately cleared one off the line. And then, as a football game can, it just completely unravelled with Harry Maguire was like Lamine Yamal up the wing. If you've not seen the first goal, Baz, he gets the ball on the right wing, turns the defender inside out 4 times, whips in a cross that Nobby Solano would have been proud of, in Casemiro at the back stick. Then you get a penalty and a red card, it's 2-0, and it's 3-0. And in the blink of an eye, it's game over. Absolutely game over. I was less bothered about Tottenham. Bodo Glimt had a ton of injuries, no defenders at all. 30-second goal. Tottenham were well ahead. And then we did say, I don't know why Tottenham would keep a clean sheet. And Bodo Glimt looked really tidy, but also really beatable. They had a little hint of sort of Southampton about them. They're going to knock it around really nicely, make some pretty patterns, ultimately be uncompetitive. They have been good against better teams, but they're missing a lot of key players at the minute. So yeah, it looks like Tottenham v Man United, which is going to be a chaotic watch. Like, it's fun. So we're not out the woods yet. Tottenham might still roll them over, but we need to see if I can get to the top of the chat here and see. Bob D was in a few minutes before the show started. Now I don't know who Bob D is, so welcome along, Bob. He thinks Villa might have the door open for them now for the Champions League. Andy Williams is here. Callum Schultz, welcome along. Callum was in the baseball podcast the other night. The Subhuman Gaucho, Smudger, the Backus family, John Cullifay, who was pulling double duty. He was just in the Kentucky Derby show that I finished a few minutes ago. Every time I try to drag this down, I keep getting some sort of awful messages. Something's going to go terribly wrong here. Joe Bamber has joined us as well, and I think that's everyone so far. If you are in the chat, Michael Roberts, welcome. He's not liking the deck and hand situation or the left and right, but fair enough. If you're in the chat and you want to say hello and give us a few picks, by all means, do that. Yeah, so we'll move along and handicap this full card of big weekend in the Premier League. Let me tell you first about SGPN's free content. Take a second to give us 5 stars and subscribe to all the shows that you can. Edge Boost is the first ever bank account built for bettors, ensuring all gambling transactions are approved. No usage fees, no minimums. Earn cashback rewards. 100% approval for all betting deposits. Sign up today at edgeboost.bet with the promo code SGPN. Deposit $25. EdgeBoost match that deposit. EdgeBoost.bet promo code SGPN. Naira bets, NYRA bets, that is. Derby week at SGPN. They keep trying to make me say Derby, and I will not do it. Make sure to check out the horse racing podcast, the Notorious OTB, for all of your picks. Sign up today. Boost your Derby bankroll with a $25 free bet and a $200 deposit bonus with the promo code SGPN25. Join now to claim that $25 free bet and $200 deposit match bonus at nairabets.com/SGPN25. And finally, we're brought to you by MyBookie, your place to bet every sport, including the NBA playoffs. For the true D-gens, there's the MyBookie money bag. You get a random future bet. Love that. Easy deposit and light and fast payouts using crypto. Highlight the bet you like on MyBookie. Head to mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000. T's and C's apply. That's mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN. Just reading that MyBookie ad out, Baz, talking about the money bag where you get a random bet. Did you ever use, trying to think of the year here, I might peg this at about 97, 98, randombets.com. Does that ring a bell to you?
No, not at all.
And it was a really simple idea. It was fucking hardcore. Like, you basically, and the only thing I'm not sure about now is whether it was legit or not, because you'd put your tenner on and press it. I remember doing it for the snooker, like the World Snooker Championships. So there'd be 64 runners or 32, whatever it was. And you got 30 to 1 on everybody. So you just put your tenner on, so you chose your stake, press the little randomizer, and it would go, blah, 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 and then it would pop out Ronnie O'Sullivan or John Higgins or whoever it was. So you might get the 3 to 1 favourite at 30 to 1, or you might get the 100 to 1 outsider at 30 to 1. But they did this for everything. They did it for every horse race during the day. So it was an 8-runner race. You'd get 7 to 1 about what you could get a 1 to 2 favourite. But just so I played it for about 2 months, not successfully. But I'm just thinking in the background, they probably threw out less Ronnie O'Sullivans and probably put more Bill Werbenicks in there, didn't they?
Definitely.
But yeah, if anyone remembers that little trip down memory, I went a bit Peter Kay there. Do you remember, Barry? Things from the past. Have you got anything you want to tell us before we crack on with the Premier League slate?
No, I think obviously we could have had a bit of a chat about the Forest game tonight, but we've got Forest coming up, so we can cover that when we get to them.
You see, so John in the chat here saying that CJ Sullivan on the show here, on the network, he pulled Rory for the Masters on the MyBookie money bag. So I'm just trying to find out what price that was, because that's the sort of thing. You see, I'm all over shit like that. I absolutely adore that kind of thing. We start on Friday night. There's a Friday night game, 8 o'clock. I'm working tomorrow, unfortunately, so I will miss Manchester City taking on Wolverhampton Wanderers. Man City are 3-10, minus 333. Wolves are 17-4, plus 425. And Wolves are 7-1. Let's just see if I can find this banner. We'll have Palace v Forest, the top one. Oh, it's gone from top to bottom. Here we go. I'm going to press this. Watch this, Baz. Hey, get it. Look at that. See the way it slid on as well. Let it slide, Barry. So this is really tricky. I found a handicap because because Wolves are a team that I feel like factoring in to most stuff at the minute on current form. Man City's form, it seems somehow underwhelming, but I think because we're so used to them being so much better than everybody else, the fact that they've won 3 wins in a row and they only just beat Everton and they only just beat Villa, and then they were behind against Palace and came back. You feel like Man City should be doing better, but I think that's just the way your brain's been trained over the last few years. Because actually, it's pretty solid form. It's a good home win against Villa. Everton's a tricky place to go, and they scored 5 times against Palace after a dodgy start. So I feel like you're picking holes in Manchester City, even though the form's good enough, and they turned Forest over 2-0 again in a standalone semi-final against a team who have been really competitive this year. Wolves are on a little winning run, but City have covered against Palace and Everton in 2 out of the last 3 games, and they covered against Forest in the Cup last time. I think Wolves can have a forgivable day off. They had the little mini celebration last weekend when the fact that they were staying up was confirmed, even though we kind of all knew it was anyway. But I just think this might be a little step too far. Man City are playing well. Man City still have something to play for. The Champions League places is still up for grabs, where Wolves don't anymore. So I'm going to take City on the handicap. A few months ago, there's no way you'd have got 21-20 plus 105 about City covering 1.5 against Wolves. It could be a huge price, Baz. So I'm going to take City on the handicap.
Yeah, I mean, Man City, they're still not exactly firing on all cylinders, but they are getting back to the sort of form that I think probably will see them clinch the Champions League spots. They're now unbeaten in 8 and won 6 of the last 7 in all competitions as well. Recent wins over Villa and Forest sort of look good in comparison to what they were serving up a few weeks ago. And I think they should have enough to say off Wolves here, even with Wolves in really good form themselves. Wolves are unbeaten in 8, and they've just won 6 in a row, but they've literally just faced the bottom 7 sides in their last 7 games. So you've got to sort of temper the expectations a little bit with Wolves in that recent form. I think this one's obviously a tougher challenge, and I think the run for Wolves will likely end at this point. Wolves did win the reverse fixture 2-1. That was during the time where City were struggling against everyone. Like you, I think Man City will win here. I wasn't confident enough to have them on the handicap to win by a couple, but that's just because I found something else that I liked a bit better. It's goals, but it's a bit of a different one. It's a bet that's hit in 11 straight games at the Etihad. So Man City at home, 7 straight games have seen 2 or more goals in the first half. That's going to be my pick here. I think there'll be goals. And it's like you say, you sort of think about factoring Wolves in. There's nothing to say Wolves won't get at least one of them. But yeah, 7 games in a row this is hit at home for City. Over 1.5 first half goals between City and Wolves. It's 6-5.
Okay, nice quick start on Friday night. Coisty's joined us. Welcome, Coisty. Coisty's saying something terrible happened in the second half of the Man United game. I turned it off in a paddy by then. He's saying there should have been a red card and a penalty the other way. So that's disappointing to hear. Next up, we'll go to Saturday lunchtime, 12:30 kickoff, 7:30 Eastern time, between Aston Villa and Fulham. Aston Villa are 18-25, minus 138. The draw is 14-5, plus 280. Fulham 7-2, plus 350. Bazza.
Yeah, I'm sort of reflecting on this, how quickly things unravelled for Villa, who had been obviously flying high recently, won 10 of 11 games. before the last two, only losing to PSG in that run. Convincing winners over Newcastle, and at that point had everyone raving about them. They were the best team in the league at that point. They were absolutely going to go all the way to the FA Cup final and absolutely going to clinch a Champions League spot. And suddenly it's taken a little bit of a turn for the worse. They lose to City. That takes a blow for them in the top 5 battle, and then comprehensively beaten 3-0 in the Cup semi-final to Palace. I think the manner of the defeat as well, the Palace would be a bit of a concern. The positive for Villa is that they're back at Villa Park, and that should be enough for them here, I think, to get back on track, because they've still got everything to play for. They've got to put that FA Cup game behind them. The top 5 race is wide open now. Forest not winning tonight was massive. Chelsea have got a tough one this weekend. Chelsea and Forest have still got to play each other. Newcastle and Chelsea have still got to play for each other. So there's teams in that top 5 going to be dropping points one way or another. So it's there for Villa still. And I do think, as I say, at home, they should be fine. Fulham have stuttered a little bit lately anyway. They just can't seem to string any wins together. It's 1 win, 2 defeats. 1 win, 2 defeats. Won just 3 of the last 9 now and lost 5 of them as well. They did get a late winner against Southampton last week. But prior to that, away from home, defeats to Bournemouth, Arsenal, Brighton, all teams in and around that sort of top end of the table. And that's enough for me to think Villa will win this. They've not lost at home since October, Villa. And they've just strung 6 home wins in a row, including wins over PSG, Forest, Newcastle, Chelsea. Again, teams at the top end. Short price one in this one, but I think Villa at 8 to 11 are backable as a straight up pick. Villa to win for me.
I've got an almost identical handicap, but a slightly different pick, bit of a bigger price. It is a must win for Villa for Champions League. They're currently on the outside looking in, and they have took a bit of a confidence beating in 3 competitions lately. PSG, Man City, and Palace have done them dirty in the last few weeks. Home form's good, 1-9, drawn 7, lost 1. Fulham's form's just a bit messy. I don't really like it. They win 1, lose 1. But they were lucky winners at Southampton. They'd lost 2 before that. The key form for me, Baz, is Villa against the teams 3rd to 8th in the league. Fulham are currently sitting in 8th. They've won 4-1 and they've won 2-1 3 times. Fulham are good away. They score goals away from home. Averaged 1.41 goals per game away from home. So I think they can get a goal, but Villa's home form's really good. We did watch them smash Newcastle a couple of weeks ago. PSG, other teams you've seen them beat. Villa to win and both teams to score is 12-5 plus 240. So I've gone a little bit bigger there. But I think Villa can get it done. 2-1, 3-1, something like that. 3 o'clock kickoffs, Courtney, won't take me very long to count because there are only 1, 2. 3 o'clock kickoffs on Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern time. Neither of them are very exciting. The first one is Everton taking on Ipswich Town. Everton are 1-2, minus 200. The draw 16-5 plus 320. Ipswich are 11-2 plus 550. The problem here is that everyone involved is shit in this game. Luckily, there's enough data to stick with that we can kind of discount the shitness of everyone. And it's the Everton run of under 2.5 goals. It's 9 games in a row. The fact it's Ipswich doesn't seem to matter either. Everton against the bottom 4 teams, which are the 3 teams that are toast, and West Ham are the other one. 5 out of 6 of those games have gone under. So it's not like they save their overs for when they're playing the shit teams. They still just crack on with the under 2.5s. I thought Ipswich were appalling at Newcastle last week. Absolutely appalling. But it still doesn't mean Everton are going to roll them over. They'll just do enough. 72nd minute header from a corner. Under 2.5 goals, Baz. 9 in a row. If it's not broke, don't fix it. 9-10, minus 111.
Yeah, this one took me about 5 seconds to land on a pick, and probably no surprise that it's exactly the same as yours. Everton at 1-2, I thought seems a little bit tight for a team who've won 1 of their last 9 games. Although it is worth mentioning the last 5 games all came against top 6 sides, so Everton might win it, but just couldn't get involved in Everton at that price, and you can't trust Ipswich at the moment. But yeah, unders 10 to 11. You've mentioned the Everton run for the unders. We saw this early in the season. They went on a run like this, and you just had to keep following it. So same pick, Everton v Ipswich, under 2.5 goals at 10 to 11.
Michael, our Toffee's finest, going for Liam Delap at 3-1 anytime. I've discovered, Baz, right here's something, another bit of on-air production. If I put this message on the screen here, look, if I put Michael's message on the screen, when I take it off, the Everton Ipswich thing's gone. I have to put it back on manually, like this. What do you think of that? Disappointing, isn't it?
At least you've picked up on it, Malcolm. You're learning as you go. That's good.
Just extra clicks of the old finger, innit?
Yeah.
I'll have carpal tunnel and all that. The other 3 o'clock, the second 3 o'clock on Saturday, is an absolute peach. Leicester City take on Southampton. Leicester are 5-4 plus 125. The draw is 13-5 plus 260. Southampton 19-10 plus 190. I've heard this game described variously as possibly quite unfairly El Spastico. I don't think you can say that, Baz. So we'll probably have to go with El Crapico, is what this one's being termed. So what have you got for Leicester v Southampton?
Yeah, it is the proverbial 2 blind men fainting over a comb, isn't it?
Absolutely is.
I was hoping Conor Mack would be in, because Conor Mack loves it when something positive is said about Southampton, and it's hard often to find something positive about Southampton. But I've tried a little bit lately, and hopefully Conor Mack. Oh, he's in. Here we go. He might like this one. He might like where I've ended up here. Because my first thought when I come into the game was Southampton, simply because I think they've just shown a little bit more than Leicester lately. They've at least shown an ability to score, which Leicester can't do. And I've done okay recently, taking the odd both teams to score in Southampton games for that reason. Leicester have still failed to score in 9 of their last 10 games. They've lost 11 of the last 12. And at home in the league, they've just lost 9 in a row by an aggregate score of 22-0. That's absolutely obscene, that. Southampton's form isn't much better. There's a whole load of red in there. No win in 11, just the 2 draws. But despite not winning, they've still scored in 5 of the last 6 games. And that's what gives me a bit more that Southampton could go and get something here, or at least make a bit of a game of it. They need 1 more point to avoid being the lowest points total, tied with Derby County. Plenty of goals in the last game between the two. Leicester won that one 3-2. And I think we might see goals again here. I know Leicester haven't had many, but Southampton haven't kept a clean sheet in the league since November. So I wouldn't be taking Southampton for a clean sheet. But I do think there could be goals on either side of it here. I like the overs. The overs are 8-11. But if I was leaning one way or another in terms of a winner here, I would lean towards Southampton. And so for that reason, I didn't mind Southampton as a pick at 2-1. But then sort of brought the two together. I like the goals. I like Southampton. So I'm going to take the Southampton team total. Southampton have scored 2 or more at 11-8. Leicester have conceded 2 or more in 10 of their last 12 games now. Everyone scores 2 against Leicester. So I will go for Southampton team total. Southampton have scored 2 or more here at 11-8.
We've got both teams to score from Joe Bamba. We've got both teams to lose from Lee Smith, which is a nice bet. I'll be honest, but I don't know what number show this is, 272 or something. This might be my favourite pick of all time. All-time favourite pick. There is no way. If you're listening to this now, wherever you're listening, close the windows, shut the door, I'd pull the curtains. We don't want people overhearing this because it's absolutely world-class. If you gave me a tenner and forced me to put it on a side, I would put it on Southampton. I wouldn't. You can't back Leicester. I'd put it on Southampton at 2-1. But you can't pick a team that have won 2 in 34 at 2-1. That's madness. But they've been much more competitive lately. And here we go, Barry. They've scored first against better opposition. A few times recently, 3 in the last 7. They've scored first. Leicester are absolutely dog shit. You've just gone through the home form. Southampton to score first. It's 5-4 plus 125. It's a great bet. What a bet that is. Honestly, I should be carried shoulder high through the streets of Newcastle when tall Paul nods one in after 8 minutes on Saturday. Southampton to score first, 5-4, plus 125. Was
Connor
that two
Mack has
positive
waited.
Southampton picks there, Connor? That was absolutely your time
he's,
there, Connor.
He's waited all season for that, hasn't he? For us both to be positive about his side, just for once.
Yeah. They are absolutely going to get beat 4-0 now, by the way. We both picked them. We'll see you on Monday night, Connor. You can talk us through Leicester's 5th goal. Underdog Pick'em has just launched a new game. Ladders, Baz, they've been listening to you. You can win up to 500 times your money watching your favourite players. Climb the ladder. Sign up with our code PLGP to claim a special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus credits. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code PLGP. And Rhythm is your home for AI-backed picks and props. Dominate the NBA playoffs and MLB prop market with Rhythm. Build your own model is simple and easy. Rhythm knows you'll love it. That's why they include a 7-day free trial. 2 amazing deals at the moment. 25% off a monthly subscription with the promo code SGPN25 and 50% off an annual subscription with the promo code SGPN50. That's RITHMM, promo code SGPN25 or SGPN50. Just check I'm at the bottom of the page. There's no more adverts sneaked on the bottom yet. Good. We're going to move on to a tea time kickoff on Saturday, 5:30, 12:30 Eastern time between Arsenal and Bournemouth. Arsenal are 11-10, plus 110. Bournemouth, the draw 13-5, plus 260. Bournemouth 23-10, plus 230. I think Arsenal shit the bed against PSG, frankly. I thought the fans shit the bed. The bloke who paid all that money to put that bed sheet up behind the one goal shit the bed. And then the team shit the bed again. No set piece, no goal, tons of excuses. All I've seen a highlight of a free kick being given against Saka about 500 times. Like, that's a thing. Oh, yeah, it may have happened. I'm not disputing it happened. But why do you keep showing me this? Why do the Arsenal fans keep showing me 2 blokes running towards the corner flag and the line gives a free kick and it's probably not a free kick? Fucking hell. Is this where we've come to? They're not losing in the league, Arsenal, but they're not winning enough either. They've drawn 5 of the last 8 league games. 7 of their last 10 have actually gone under 2.5. And the key really here is how many changes they're going to make. And I do think the answer is loads. I think they're going to make a ton of changes before the second leg next week. Bournemouth aren't winning either. They've only won 1 in 9. They're a horrible price here. Evan Nielsen's red card was overturned, something that we talked about and called on Sunday night when we did the show. But 3 in a row under 2.5 for Bournemouth as well. Big game on deck for Arsenal. Quite a similar handicap to Bournemouth v Man United last week, which was a bit of a non-event, really. Lots of under 2.5 form. I'm just going to take it as a complete and utter slow burner. I don't think Bournemouth will go over the jugular. Then Arsenal just mince about. Might win 1-0, might finish 1-1. Under 2.5 goals is 9-10, minus 111.
Well, I came to this one thinking it might be a spot where you look to fade Arsenal with all eyes on the midweek game. But when I saw the prices, I instantly changed my mind. And it's probably a trap. I'd know that. We've seen this numerous times. But Arsenal at home to Bournemouth at evens is too big for me in any circumstances, let alone a situation where Bournemouth have won 1 of their last 11 games now, Bournemouth. They're not the same Bournemouth that we saw over Christmas and into the new year. 1 win in 11 in all competitions. And they haven't exactly been up against the top sides in that run. They've lost games to Ipswich, Brentford, Wolves, failed to beat Man United, West Ham, Spurs. So they struggled against teams in the bottom half. Even a weakened Arsenal side, I think, would still look reasonable value here at home. What doesn't look great for Arsenal is the fact their recent form in this spot between the first and second legs of the Champions League knockout ties. They drew against Brentford last time out. They drew against Man United the time before that. They also drew against Palace at home last week. which means they've actually only won 3 of their last 7 home games now. So there's plenty of reason to sort of look to fade Arsenal. And you said they might make changes here, but I looked at the lineups they played in the games against Man United and Brentford. So in between the previous knockout fixtures, and the lineups, there was changes, but it was still strong enough. And something similar here might be enough for them. I can't get away from Bournemouth's drop-off lately. I don't think Arsenal are just going to give up entirely on the league now that Liverpool have won it. They'll still want to finish second. I don't think they'll want to see themselves dropping to third or fourth, because suddenly if they do go out the Champions League and finish third or fourth, it looks like a bad season for them. Purely at the prices, I just think Arsenal at home at this price against a Bournemouth team who aren't winning games, 21-20, I'll take Arsenal to beat Bournemouth.
Nearly left myself on mute there. We've got a hotkey, Baz, haven't we? We've been using. This stuff amazes me. If you press M, you go on mute. If you press M again, you come off mute. And apparently, Barry, these are called hotkeys. So I mean, look at us here, like a young Steve Jobs and that other fella, just cracking on. Conor Mack wants a shot on target ladder for Evan Nielsen. So I'm just having a little look now. Got every Bournemouth. Why have they got the Bournemouth players listed? Are Scott Semenyo Utara, Dean Huyson, the centre back, Marcus Tavernier, whatever you want to call him. No centre forward listed. So the short answer is Connor, no, unless Barry can drag one out. We move across to Sunday's action. Action. I've never said action before, have I? Sunday's action starts at 2 p.m. What time's that? 9 a.m. Eastern time, between Brentford and Manchester United. Oh, I just brought it back then, Man United, saying it out loud. It's horrible. Brentford are 3-5, -166, 31-10. The draw +310. Man United are 4-1. Barry, what do you want to do with this?
I want to back Brentford.
No, do you?
I think the starting point here, you just got to look at Man United's league form. Tonight doesn't have any bearing on it. They've won 2 games in 11, and the wins come up against Ipswich and Leicester. They've lost both of the last 2 games that followed a Thursday night European game. And I mean, the tie tonight looks done and dusted, but I still think you'll probably make changes again anyway. And I just think Brentford will take advantage of that. Brentford looked decent tonight against Forest, who are far better than Man United. Going to City Ground and winning 2-0 is a really, really positive result for Brentford tonight. I just think you've got to fade Man United coming off the back of the Thursday night game at the moment. So I'm going to take Brentford to win, but I'm going to tag on the over 1.5 goals to get me to a reasonable price here. So Brentford win, and over 1.5 goals is 5-6.
I think, Barry, you're going to like my bet better than your bet in a minute. I agree with you. I mean, I made these notes before the Man United game, obviously for time purposes. I don't really care what the score was in Bilbao. I thought Brentford were too short to bet outright anyway, 3-5. We said last week Man United 7-2 at Bournemouth. We're kind of getting towards a backable price. And then it turns out they were shit again. And 4-1 immediately draws you in. But I do think they'll make as many changes as they want. I mean, they're 3-0 up, but they don't need to make changes to rest players. They just don't need to take any risks at all. They've absolutely nothing to achieve by playing this game properly. And even if they did play it properly, it doesn't mean they're any good, because they're not. That's why they're down where they are. Brentford were excellent again tonight. Really, really good win. Looked dangerous at all junctures of the game. My play here is Brentford to score in both halves. Bournemouth came out the traps quick last week, got an early goal. Somehow didn't score in the second half, hit the beans on toast and all sorts. Bilbao were at them early tonight. Easily should have scored at least one first half goal. And then the red card changes everything. So if we're going to put Man United in fade mode, which we are, I'd much prefer to do it this way. Brentford, who are a really dynamic attacking team, Brentford to score in both halves is 11-8 plus 137. 2 o'clock on Saturday is Brighton and Hove Albion against Newcastle United. Brighton are 9-5 plus 180. The draw 13-5 plus 260. Newcastle are 13-10 plus 130 favourites. Brighton were way out of form with no win in 5 before that late 3-2 win against West Ham. And really, I don't think that's changed much because they're 2-1 down after 89 minutes. These things happen in football. They did manage to score a couple of goals, but that doesn't bring them back into form because for 90% of that game or longer, they were getting beat off one of the poorer teams in the league, again, on the back of all those other defeats they've had. Newcastle had a bloodless win against Ipswich last week. If you want to bet Newcastle, you need to be prepared to forgive that shellacking that they got at Villa a couple of weeks ago. Newcastle traditionally haven't done very well against Brighton. We've lost twice at home this season in the league and the FA Cup. And we've had a few tricky days down on the South Coast as well, historically. But I saw some trends, Barry, and I'm going to read some stats out here. We don't often do this. I saw some trends that really helped me make my pick here. Stop laughing, you twat. Brighton, points per game, down 8% in the last 8 games. Goals conceded, up 31.5% in the last 8. Brighton are not conceding. We'll go to Newcastle. Stop laughing or I'll put you into the little screen, Barry. Newcastle points per game, up 23.6%. Goals for, up 24.6%. Goals against, down 22.5%. I mean, Ara's stats. It's science, Barry. You can't argue with it. It's hashtag science. I'm going to take my heart out of it because I'm a little bit anxious about it. It's a big game for Newcastle, and you know me, I'm a bit of a shitty arse at the best of times. But I'm going to follow those stats, Baz. Newcastle are in better form and they're the better team. I'm going to take them to do the job at 13-10 plus 130.
I'm not sure what any of them stats were, but they definitely weren't your stats. You've plagiarised that from somewhere.
There's no such thing as my stats. There's fucking stats on it. Like if I add up 7 and 4 and it's 11, I haven't made 11 up. That's just fucking maths.
I'm just saying you haven't sat there with your calculator out, have you, working out those percentages?
Of course I fucking haven't. I'm not an idiot. My stats.
Fucking ridiculous. It sounded like AI because it was just numbers you were throwing out. Nobody listened to any of what you said.
There's people here, Barry. Not everyone who listens to the shows like you. There's some quite discerning people. They'll be sitting with people with glasses on and that will have loved that. Anyone who wears glasses, they'll have enjoyed that last 5 minutes. Don't you put your glasses on. Your glasses are for nothing. They're just for reading menus. Oh, here we go.
There we go. I can't see
read the stats out again now, see if they hit harder with your specs on.
No, you're all right. I can't see a thing now because I've got contact lenses and glasses on, so it's just a blur. So that's never going to work. Okay. Anyway, 7 wins from 8 for Newcastle. The Villa defeat being the only blemish on the record recently. And although you've mentioned Newcastle's recent record v Brighton isn't great, no win in 4 in the head-to-heads against Brighton. I just think it feels like it's probably not a bad time to be coming up against them at the moment. They grabbed that late winner against West Ham, but the fact they conceded another 2 goals against West Ham, they had no win in 6 before that, just tells me they aren't at their best at the moment, and certainly not defensively. They've conceded 2 or more goals in 5 straight games. So West Ham put 2 up against them. Leicester scored 2 against them, for God's sake. So 6 of the last 7, they've conceded 2 goals as well. And that just seemed the easiest way in for me. Newcastle have scored at least 2 in 6 of their last 7. Brighton have conceded 2 or more in 6 of their last 7.
They're not your fucking stats, Barry.
They're easy.
They're
proper stats. Newcastle team total. Newcastle to score 2 or more at 5-6 will be my pick here.
Do you know roughly on average how many more goals Newcastle have scored in the last 8 games than their baseline, Barry? It's 24.6%, just so you know. You've got the goal to have a go at me and then read off those stats, honestly. There's a lot of glasses action going there. I am wearing my glasses as a Alice band tonight, by the way, just because it's too hot. And I've got no choice otherwise. I'm going to have to endure that. But yeah, 3 pairs of spectacles there all at once, Barry. Might be a show record. 2 o'clock on Sunday. Oh my God, earlier on, I claimed I made the best pick in the history of the show. This next one is the worst pick. the absolute worst pick in the history of the show. This is dreadful. The game is West Ham United against Tottenham. West Ham is 6-5 plus 120. The draw is 13-5 plus 260. And Tottenham are 2-1. You go first, Barry, and do something sensible because mine's pathetic.
Yeah, I mean, it's a horrible game, isn't it? Let's be honest.
It
Just one
really,
win,
really is, yeah.
one win in 8 for Spurs in the league. And 6 defeats in those 8 as well is the more startling thing. The only team they've actually managed to beat is Southampton. And they've lost their last 3 games coming off the back of a European night as well. So it doesn't bode well for them generally coming out of a European tie. I mean, it's a game that's usually got a bit of rivalry around it. These are sort of London rivals, a derby game, you would say. But I just don't see Spurs caring that much about this one on this occasion, with Europe being where all of their eggs are currently placed. So, I mean, it certainly feels like West Ham will probably want this a bit more, but that doesn't necessarily mean they'll win it because they aren't very good. They've got no win in 7 now, West Ham, having thrown it away late last week against Brighton. So really hard to make a case for backing either of the sides. The both teams to score is hit in the last 4 league games for both sides. And Spurs games recently have been full of goals. 19 goals in the last 4 games Spurs have been involved in the league. I don't think you can back either of these sides, but I think we can expect goals here. I think the over 2.5 is a little bit too short, but I think we can get to 4 goals. I'm going to go for the plus money here. Over 3.5 goals between West Ham and Spurs at 11-8.
Oh shit! You've pulled my pick even more sharply into focus here, Barry. This is tremendous. So there's 2 main parts of the handicap, which I'll come to in a minute, or 2 main parts to the pick. It's an absolute horrible game to handicap. Lee's absolutely right. I mean, it's manky. You can't bet West Ham. They don't look capable of winning. The manager's gone crackers. Both teams to score 4 in a row. You pointed that out. You're right. Tottenham 1 win in 8, which was against Southampton, doesn't count. So they also can't win. They've got a second leg on deck. And that Bodo Glimt goals just made it slightly less straightforward than it would have been at 3-0. I did write down 19 goals in the last 4 league games, but that's the same as you. I've got a slightly I've wrote down here a slightly different approach. I don't know if I'm trying to convince you or me at this point. So here's the handicap, Baz. Tottenham aren't arsed. You've said that. Tottenham can't be arsed. However, I don't think West Ham are good enough to do anything about it. Or Tottenham aren't good enough to shellac them completely. The bet is, and we'll just move on after I've said it out loud, both teams to score and under 5 goals. It's 15-13 plus 115. Because, like I say, Spurs don't care, but West Ham aren't good enough to do anything about it. It could be any, but I don't think West Ham are going to beat them 4-1. And certainly Spurs aren't going to be able to run up a score against them. That was the handicap. So it's not, there is some reason behind it. It just feels a little bit soiled and happy giving it out, but there you go, I've done it.
Well done.
Next up, you what, mate?
Well done. We'll have a 2-2.
Yeah, fits, doesn't it? You've got the same. What price was yours?
5-6.
Oh, you see, you get what? Mine's plus 115, man. You're getting plenty better value with mine for that 2-2 draw, Barry. Do you want to change it?
No, you're all right.
You're all right, fair enough. 4:30 on Sunday is Chelsea against Liverpool. Chelsea 11-10 plus 110, 27-10 the draw plus 270, and Liverpool are 21-10 plus 210. It's really impossible to say how Liverpool are going to approach this, either in terms of team selection. Why? I think he'll just go full strength. But even then, if he does, the level of performance that they put in, it's hard to judge. And until you see it, you don't know. My instinct at the prices is to take Liverpool. Chelsea aren't that good. So even again, we just said like Tottenham are there for the taking. I don't think West Ham are good enough to take him. I feel this way about Chelsea. I mean, they've squeezed past Everton. Any win they've had recently has been fairly tenuous. They've also got another leg of their semi-final. And what did they finish like, Chelsea? I know they were 1-0 up. Did they win? Do we know? Does anyone care?
Didn't even look. I've paid very little attention to the Conference League
Sancho
all
scored
season.
early on, and that's all I saw. The draw no bet for Liverpool is quite tempting at 5-4. But I'm just going to be brave and take Liverpool here, 21-10. How many times do you get a chance to take the team who were 20-odd points clear at the top? And why wouldn't Liverpool just go and play well? Like, what would they not be doing? I don't get it. Yeah, Liverpool are a massive price here. Let's take a punt.
Yeah, same sort of angles, really. The only thing that makes it slightly tricky is you don't know how Liverpool react to having won the title. But I talked about it a few weeks ago when we had that blank week and we were looking for some random picks. And I put up Liverpool to win the league by 10 or more points. And at the time, I just said, I can't see that the point where they win the league, I couldn't see why they would just phone it in for the rest of the season, because there's no reason. They haven't got any other cup competitions. They've got nothing else going on. They've got no reason to rest players. And I think they'll want as many points as possible. There's loads of people making comments about this being a poor Premier League to win and how they're only winning it because everyone else has been shit. It is bollocks. And I think for that reason, they'll want to go out and win this league by 20 points if they can, because that shows how dominant they've been this season. So I think they'll want as many points. They'll want to win the title by as big a margin as possible. Salah will still want to continue with a great season he's having, because he's in the hunt for plenty of awards and the top scorer award. So I just, like you, I think there's no reason at all that he would make loads of changes or rest players. And I think they'll still want to go out and potentially just make it a procession towards the end of the season. I mean, I said against Spurs last week, I thought they'd win the game, they'd win the league, but they'd probably have some fun in doing it. And they went and scored 5 goals in that. And with that in my mind, Liverpool at 2-1, you just can't get away from them. And Chelsea, fair enough, they haven't been losing lately very often, but Christ, they've rode their luck at times in terms of, late goals and things like that. They haven't played particularly well. And you look at the teams who have beaten Chelsea recently: Arsenal, City, Villa, Brighton. Those teams in and around the European spots are the teams that are going to Chelsea and getting results. So Liverpool at 2-1 appeals. I don't mind it at all. But I've ended up going for the team total again. I see no reason at all why Liverpool won't get at least a couple of goals here. And that was my preferred pick. And it's still a really good price, 6-5 for Liverpool to score 2 or more here. Is a pick I really like. So yeah, Chelsea v Liverpool. Liverpool team total over 1.5 at 6-5 plus 120.
Final game here is the 8 o'clock kickoff on Monday night, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, between Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest. Palace are 27-20 plus 135. The draw is 23-10 plus 230. And Nottingham Forest are 21-10 plus 210. Baz, finish us off with a winner.
Oh, Forest are cracking, aren't they? It's got to be a little bit of concern around there now after the last week out of the FA Cup. And then defeat tonight will be a massive blow. That's 4 defeats in 5 games now for Forest. Out of the FA Cup. Champions League hopes hanging by a thread. Still there. As I say, they've still got to play Chelsea, so it's still in their hands as it stands. But I think what will worry them most is the back-to-back home defeats there. They've just lost to Brentford and Everton at home without scoring a goal in those 2 games. And City Ground's been such a fortress for them for a long time. They haven't lost many games at all this season. And I think you sort of look at the run-in a few weeks ago, and it looked like Forest was still one of the favourites to clinch one of those spots, mainly because they had more home games. And you sort of look at the likes of that Everton and Brentford one and think they would be bankers for them. But definitely some doubts are going to be creeping in now after a tough week for them. Palace, on the other hand, will be on a high after that massive win over Villa and an imminent FA Cup final coming up. That broke a 4-game winless streak. And I think with the FA Cup final miles away, yeah, it's still 3 weeks away. There's no reason to expect that there'll be any sort of drop in form. As I say, they dropped off a little bit recently, but before that, they've been in good form generally. They've won 5 of the last 6 at home, which was one of the key things for me. Their home form is really, really solid. And I think this suddenly, after the last week, looks like a really tricky one for Forest. I'm always cautious taking Forest on. Haven't done well doing so in many spots this season. So I haven't gone for Palace in the outright market, but I've gone back to team totals again. Palace have just put up 3 past Villa, 2 past Arsenal, and even in defeat to City the other week, they put up 2 against City. So some decent sides there that Palace are managing to put a few goals up against. And on the flip side, Forest have just conceded 2 against Brentford, 2 against City, Villa a few weeks ago, and even in beating Ipswich a few weeks ago, Forest, they won that one 4-2, conceded 2 to Ipswich. Palace team total for me. The Forest games have been, low scoring recently, but I think Palace are going to get a couple here at home. I like Palace for the game, but I'm going to go for Palace over 1.5 team total at 6-5.
It was a massive handicap, Baz. That seemed to go on for about 17 minutes. Well done. Good in-depth analysis from Barry Penaluna. Palace were excellent against Villa in the Cup. My concern with Palace is the form in between the Cup quarter-final and the Cup semi-final. They did drop off a little bit. They played well at Arsenal that one night, got the 2-2. But they didn't win in 4 games in between them. And even though you've said it's 3 weeks away, that now is where their focus has gone. Like, their focus is on that game. Forest were poor again tonight. You've said 4 defeats in 5. I still think they've been a little bit unlucky. I thought they played all right against Manchester City. Tonight was their worst performance as it stands. But they are feeling the pressure a little bit. But I don't think they've suddenly become a bad team. It's not a cop-out here. It looks like a draw, Baz. I've got this down as a draw, 23-10, plus 230. And I also made it my 1-1 draw of the week. Although we don't have the noise. So sing the song in your head, everybody, for the next 7 or 8 seconds while I get the price up. That's a half-time correct score. That's not right. Fucking websites, dog shit navigating. Correct score. Here we go. Crystal Palace 1, Nottingham Forest 1 is 6-1 for the 1-1 draw of the week. Barry, we've made it through so far. We still think we're broadcasting. Nothing terrible has happened. You've got 2.5 minutes to knock out some exotic bets, Baz. What you got?
Yeah, I'll kick off with my lock. My lock's going to be Aston Villa, is it? Where is it? Yeah, Villa win tonight. It was a short one, 8-11. That will be my lock. My underdog's going to be Southampton to beat Leicester at around about, what were they, 21-10? Something like that. And the scorer, no prizes for originality here. But with Liverpool a big price this week, it brings their players as decent prices for scorers. Salah's 8-5 anytime and 6-1 first and last. So I'll just go with Salah at that price. Plus money for Salah in any game generally is decent. But 8-5 looks tasty for Salah. Corned beef pie Aka is 3 home favourites here. Villa win, City win, Arsenal win. 4-1 for those 3 all to win. And my stake and Stilton Aka is the opposite. We've got an underdog treble all away from home. Liverpool to win, Southampton to win, and Spurs to beat West Ham, because that game could be anything. 26-1 for those 3 to win. I don't think that's a massive long shot, really. Liverpool, Southampton, Spurs, 26-1.
Okay. My lock is the same as last week. No need to change it. Everton, Ipswich under 2.5 goals. It wasn't even a sweat last week for Everton against Chelsea. My dog is Liverpool. This is the most nice things. Well, we're not saying nice things. We're just trying to take advantage of Liverpool. The most positive we've ever been about them. Anytime goal scorer, I've gone for Morgan Rogers. I think Villa, I've got goals in them at home against Fulham. 6-1 first and last, 7-4 anytime. Corned beef pie accumulator is 4-1 over 2.5 goal treble in the games at Manchester City, Villa, and West Ham. And we're running out of time to hear Stake and Stilton, Baz. You've had a tenuous one. But yeah, we've got 4 weeks left. Mine's 80-1, thankfully. So I can cover both of us, Baz, when I hit this one. It's the result in both teams to score. So I've got Villa to win in yes, BTTS. Southampton to win in yes. Liverpool to win in yes. Pays 80-1 for the treble. I love that, Baz. I can't see how that would possibly lose.
Which three are they? Liverpool, Southampton, and
Villa.
So, I mean, you're not far off mine. Obviously, I've taken Liverpool, Southampton, Spurs being the third one in mine. But yeah, team right in terms of taking those two as underdogs, Liverpool and Southampton.
Baz, did you bother your arse to do a ladder?
Obviously.
Obviously.
I have a ladder.
Right, obviously this week, sorry.
I've gone to the Brighton Newcastle game and I've gone for corners. Newcastle have been hitting some decent numbers in the last few games for corners. They've had a couple of 7s and 8s, 9s, 11 against Ipswich. Newcastle got on their own. But I've gone for the match corners because Brighton have been going okay as well. And the two head-to-heads, as you say, we've already played each other twice this season. Both of them hit at least 11, which is the starting point. So for the ladder, I would generally go half your stake on the first rung. So if that hits, you're sort of free rolling the rest of the way up. So the first point is over 10.5 corners, match corners between Brighton and Newcastle, 6-5 plus 120. Then take 2 little steps up to the next one. Over 12.5 corners at 3-1. Over 13.5, 5-1. Over 14.5, 8-1. And then we'll go a few more steps, try and get a bit higher. Over 15.5, 11-1. Over 16.5 is 16-1. And the top of the ladder for me this week is over 17.5 match corners between Brighton and Newcastle at 22-1.
That is a lot of corners, Barry. 22-1, love it. Well done, mate. We did it. So far, so good. Is there anything you want to tell the people before we let them go, Baz?
No, been a quiet week on the old social front this week. Though I'm heading to Sheffield on Saturday to go and see the same musician that I saw last Saturday in Nottingham.
You're keen, aren't you?
Well, it's because the 4 of us were going to go last week. Helen was ill, so couldn't go. The kids come back and said it was the best concert they've been to in ages. And now Helen wants to go again, so she's picked up 4 tickets for Sheffield on Saturday night. So I've now got to drive us all to Sheffield.
Yeah, well, you have a lovely time. Are you staying over? Are you coming home?
No, we'll come home. Kids have both got football Sunday morning. Last game of the season this Sunday. So to be fair, Sheffield's only an hour's drive for me. It's not a massive hardship.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're last game of the season. Bob's got a game in Durham tomorrow night, but I'm working. So that's not a problem. And then Saturday morning is also the Newcastle East End v Newcastle West End. It's the East End West End derby, Baz, on Saturday morning up behind Aldi. So that should be exciting. And I think that's it. Baz, I'm going to Tiger's christening on Sunday morning. Tiger's little Brazilian baby, Tiago Manzi Bruce. His mum's half Italian. His missus is Brazilian. So the kids have just got the greatest names. They have to be footballers, these kids. There's no way they're going to be plumbers or bin men. It's just not possible. They've got the greatest names. So Tiago Manzi Bruce's christening on Sunday morning. That'll be fun. Thank you, everybody who joined us in the chat. We do appreciate it. We think we got through the whole thing. What do I have to do now, Barry? Do I play some music and then press finish? Is that what we're doing?
Something like that. And then I'll see if I can manage to publish it as a podcast because I've no idea how that works on this new format. So we'll see.
So I'm going to play some music, then press finish. And until Sunday or Monday, we'll see you down the road. Cheers.